Good morning, all. So, this is day one of my YouTube post channel, and I'm going to talk about a couple things for a short couple of minutes. No matter what it is, we're going to get right to it, okay? So, I wanted to update you guys on a couple of the things that were going on. So, you guys know we have $250,000 in debt, and we are okay with it only because we took a couple of risks that we never would have taken if it was, if we were just in our lives as teachers. We are getting into our 30s, so we're starting to realize that we want risk, or we want to grow. We are $250,000 in debt, but we have the skills to get out of it, so it's not really as scary. And I shared a little bit about what exactly we are going to be doing to get out of that hole that's going to help us get out like relatively quickly. So my husband has been promoted to a job, and he is a lab technician. This is his dream job. He's always wanted to do something like this. We were just never able to really find that position until we got into alignment with God. I am so thankful for this alignment. I've never had it in my life to this extent. For my husband to also be in a place where he's not coming home dead. He likes his coworkers. We went to a cookout for Juneteenth the other day, and I am also walking in alignment, and that is in a sales role that I have been running from since the beginning of time. I may share a story time about me and sales, but one summer when I was out of school, so in between semesters at Baylor, I did not want to go home. Home was not, or my mother's house is not a safe haven for me. It is a place where I deal with so many demons. I fight so many things at night, in the morning, different mindsets. It is too much for me. So what that looks like is me not going home by any means. So instead of going home, I went into this training program and ended up going to Marietta, Georgia during the summer, and I went door to door selling, and I was having a book of bags on me the entire summer during sophomore. Was it sophomore? No, it was freshman, because I was like, even at the beginning of that, I did not want to go home. So it was freshman year. Sophomore year is actually when I came home and I went online dating, and I ended up meeting my husband and spending the rest of the time there with him, because my mother, the house didn't have air conditioning. So I said I would rather date and be with someone else, because I really didn't have friends at that point either. Anyways, that's a sidebar. $250,000 doing sales. Right now, my base is $60,000. And then my commission, or my quota that I have to hit every month, is $7,500. It's in cybersecurity. And I almost had a breakdown the other day because my coworkers actually got fired. We started the job May 31st, and I have income from the eCommerce business, but in order to pay this off, I realized that we need more income, and I'm okay with working. I don't understand why I wouldn't work. I enjoy working. I just don't want to go in. I don't want to teach, but this devil keeps on bringing me back, or taking me back to that place. And when my coworkers got fired, I immediately said, there was only 5 of us that came into the program. My coworker got fired. I said, why, God? I've been walking in so much alignment. I like this company. I like this leader. I'm at home. I get to choose, when I can move around. I could work with different accounts, go see them in person, go to meetings and create the meetings, and not have not for nothing meetings. Just so many things that I had asked God for. And when they got fired, the night before, I actually had a dream that I was walking into like a carnival, a theme park, something similar to that, and the gatekeeper was a demon. And that demon spun me around. I can't remember if the circular, I know it was circular, but I can't remember if it was like a tube or I was spinning around like, that apparatus that people throw knives at and somebody is like stuck onto there and they're like trying to scare the person or whatever. I can't remember which it was. I just know I was going in circles because after I got out of it, the demon said, all right, that was just the confusion. That's really all I wanted to do. And he said, going ahead. So in that dream, I'm thinking he wants me to be confused about walking into the theme park, but I still stumbled off and I was like, you're so silly, demon. Like, I literally spoke to the demon and I was like, you got me one time, you're not going to get me again. And walked into the theme park, woke up the next day. Remembering my dreams is so important to my brain functionality. I always try to recall my dreams first thing in the morning. So that happening and me walking into the next day where it was immediately after the shift, 2 of my coworkers got fired. And girl, I pressed and pressed that night, that morning. I applied to jobs. I just said, oh my gosh, I'm going to go back to teaching. I cannot handle this type of pressure because $250,000 is not a lot. If you're both making, $120,000 based outside of promotions, outside of your business, and outside of commission. Is not a lot. You're probably we'd be looking at 3 to 4 years. Okay, whatever. We're still young. We made mistakes. We know how to get out of it. That's the most important part, is having a game plan. Well, realizing that I would possibly be walking into a situation where the person was telling us that the employer was not being truthful, not paying them their wages, girl. The next day was payday. So I was like, oh my gosh, we made so many plans based on this income. We have our son in programs based on this income and I cannot handle it. So that next morning, that after we found out that they were fired, I cried that entire morning. Girl, I'm on the phone making cold calls and I said, hello? Like, I cannot make this up. The employer eventually addressed it and all was well. So I'm tired of guessing God. I'm tired of trying to figure it out. I don't want to be an educator. It pays some bills, but you're not looking at a 60 base, including incentive pay. I could be the best teacher ever, and I would never get the incentive pay of a salesperson. And I see that even on the e-commerce side. So thanking God from above that we are able to walk into that place of our lives and recognize the impact that we are called to make. And that's going to require us to pick up our britches and grow up. So, and talking about the business, some of the things that I realized is that we really need to hone in how we're going to increase revenue and or stabilize revenue in order for it to pick up. So we revised our churn rate, right? Our churn rate should be within 90 days, 100% of that item should be sold. And what that looks like is finding items that are selling relatively well over an extended amount of time. Like you look in that moment, you look based off of last year's data, like look at March, April, May. Is it likely to sell? If I buy 20 of these items and, there are only 60 bought in the month, but I'm not the only seller on that, probably not a good idea. That, and then seller to selling ratio. So if I'm looking at a particular listing, again, if it's selling 60 in the month and I'm trying to figure out whether this is a good item, If there are 10 other sellers on the item and you're thinking about buying 20, you probably would be better off buying like 5 in order for you to hit that churn rate. Just a couple of the things that you have to consider in order to scale up the business. You want to consider how many people are selling on it and how many to purchase. And then that also depends on when you want to sell through it. So if you are only wanting to sell through not the 90 days, then you probably get like 15. If you want to sell through in 30 days, probably get like 5 and you'll be okay. But again, it's at the rate at which you are trying to scale up. So wholesale, that's going to look a lot different. And then if you have a private label, that's going to be a lot different. What else? So in realizing that we need variety in what we're selling, we launched a private label item. I'm going to share that with y'all probably in one of these videos. Y'all, this private label item, we ran through the numbers, and the numbers were like, okay, it's going to be good, it's going to be consistent. But then a lot more people became competitive in the space, and the only way to really become outstanding in your space as a private label is for you to create your brand around it. Like everything that my brand does is dedicated to, these now laters. It's a candy company. So all we do is now laters. That's essentially what you would have to do, or you would lose a lot of your customer base in when the generic items start coming out. I know y'all could relate to that. So that's essentially what happens in private label. Even if you're the first ones, you probably would make more money, but you're still going to lose customers over time because there's nothing outstanding about yours. So what we realized with our private label is these people are A, undercutting our price, and B, they are making us have to pay more for our keywords, because if we're competing and we're both paying for keywords, you're gonna have to pay a lot more for those keywords to stay up top. And they have far more sales and they have, far more reviews. So when you're looking at how to compete with them, then it's not really apples to apples. What they're doing is draining your income. So you're not a sustainable competitor because they have the funds, and more than likely they are in a foreign country and they have better access. And if they're not in a foreign country and they've sold a lot more than you have, then you're looking at somebody who has access and probably has the capability to milk you dry. So we said we're not going to do that. We don't want to build a brand around our private label. We just wanted private labels that were doing relatively well. So for the first couple months, we paid like $700. No. We paid. So our goal for the first couple months was to pay like $2,000 for our advertising. And that was a part of doing the $5,000 launch. It was a rocket launch. So we plan on all inclusive. That is product, that is paying for people to check the inventory, that's paying for freight, that's paying for all of those things, $5,000 and 200 units. And it should be sustainable over time. You stay on that first page, you do your ads, it shouldn't have costed that much. So we had part of that budget, and I'll definitely share that budget with y'all in the next couple videos. But we had that, it was between $1,000 and $2,000. I know that for sure. But in looking at it, the first month, y'all, we did like $1,000. And then the next month we did like $800. And then I had to tell our VA, which is no longer with us, I had to tell our VA, like, this was the budget that we had set aside. And a lot of the things that we asked for, we actually didn't get. And we realized us not being as involved in having our VA complete a lot of these was what was holding us back and keeping us back from the sustainability. Because when you think of people doing work, all they're doing is that work that you ask them to do. They are not looking at the overall picture. It's not their job to look at the overall picture. All their job is to do is to complete a task. And when those tasks were completed, and it wasn't just that VA, it was several other VAs that we'd be paid, they were disjointed. So we tried a project manager, we tried all these things, when the reality was God was really calling us to step up, run that company, learn at least the basis of those positions, so that when we are in a space like this, we know exactly what to attack and what to upgrade. And that's why I really think this happened, and this really caused us to pivot. Along with that, our Walmart seller page was terminated in March. They sent us that in March. They held our funds, which was like $20,000. And they released, like 30 days later, they released 12. So then they held 12,000. Okay, it was 12,000. 30 to 60 days later, they released 7,000. So they've had 5,000 this entire time. And we just got notified last week that they are ready to release our funds, because they were saying that they can hold it 180 days, which would be November. And God, that would definitely put a hamper on things. But they are supposedly releasing it this month in July, and thankful for that. Another note, our private label that was for Canada, we bought it last year, April, paid for all of it. It just arrived this March. So that's April 2021. And then March 2022, we just had it arrive. And with us not having our VA anymore, we are picking up those pieces. So we're definitely going to let you guys in on that information. And then lastly, we are building our business credit. But the thing about building business credit is we took out a business loan. And this business loan was like $12,000. And we took that out in like March. And we paid $2,000 a month. We paid $2,000 a month. And that's from March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. That's 8 months. So on a $12,000 loan, in the month of 2020 or the year of 2022, we're paying $16,000 back, like that. Lessons learned in dropshipping. This is day one again. I am going to be so happy to hop in with y'all, and I want to see if it makes a difference, okay? No matter how many or what I do with the title, what the thumbnail is, any of that, I want to see if this really impacts others' lives, and me talking to people makes a difference. I personally have to go to work because I wait to the last minute to do anything that I need to do, and a lot of stuff. But I love you guys until tomorrow, because I'm going to see you again tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever they do here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time.